Commander Jake Martinez stood in the war room of Earth Defense Headquarters. His eyes were fixed on the giant screen showing the emergency meeting of the Galactic Council. The room buzzed with worried voices as officers watched 12 alien species argue about the fate of an entire race. Dr. Lisa Thompson sat next to Jake, her hands shaking as she listened to the debate. She had lived with the Kaleri people for 3 years. She knew their children, their families, their gentle ways. Now she watched as politicians decided if they would live or die. The Kaleri were a peaceful race. They looked like living crystals that grew from their planet's surface. They had never hurt anyone. They grew food, made beautiful art, and sang songs that could heal the sick. But the Vorthak Empire wanted their world. And the Vorthak always took what they wanted. Ambassador Thex of the Rigelian Consortium spoke first. His voice was cold and practical. The Kaleri have nothing we need. Their world has no metals, no fuel, no weapons. They cannot help us fight wars or make us rich. The other aliens nodded. Captain Amy Rodriguez, Earth's military officer, felt sick as she watched. They talk about 3 billion lives like they mean nothing, she whispered. To Jake. The Altarian representative stood up next. His blue skin gleamed under the council chamber lights. The Vorthak offer is simple. Give them the Kaleri world, and they will stop attacking our trade routes. It is a good deal for everyone. One by one, the major powers of the galaxy agreed. The Centauran Federation said yes. The Sirius Alliance said yes. Even the Andromedan Collective, who usually stayed out of fights, said they would not help the Kaleri. Lisa watched in horror as species after species turned their backs on the Kental Crystal people. These were the same aliens who claimed to be civilized, who said they were better than the primitive humans from Earth. The Vorthak Empire was known throughout the galaxy for their cruelty. They had destroyed dozens of worlds. They turned captured aliens into slaves. They poisoned planets just to watch them die. Everyone knew what would happen to the Kaleri if the Vorthak took their world. They will kill every single one of them, Lisa said quietly. The Kaleri cannot fight back. They do not even have weapons. Their whole culture is built around peace and growth. Jake nodded grimly. He had read the reports. The Vorthak did not just conquer worlds. They wiped out entire races for fun. They would hunt the Kaleri like animals and broadcast it across the galaxy as entertainment. Finally, it was Earth's turn to speak. Ambassador Peter Collins rose slowly from his chair. The enormous council chamber fell silent. All eyes turned to the human representative. Earth was the newest member of the Galactic Council. Humans had only been part of galactic society for 20 years. Most of the older races still thought of humans as children playing at being adults. The United Earth Federation says no, Collins announced clearly. We will not abandon the Kaleri. People, we will not let them die just to make our lives easier. The reaction was immediate and angry. Ambassador Thex's tentacles waved in rage. Humans, you have been here for barely 2 decades. You do not understand how the galaxy works. You are too young to make such choices. Other aliens shouted agreement. They called humans foolish, naive, and dangerous. They said Earth would bring war to the whole galaxy by refusing to sacrifice the Kaleri, but Collins stood firm. His voice carried across the vast chamber. We understand that when evil threatens the innocent, good people must act. Earth will defend the Kaleri people, with or without your help. The Rigelian ambassador laughed coldly. You have less than 200 ships. The Vorthak have over 2,000. You will all die, and the Kaleri will still be destroyed. Your sacrifice will mean nothing. Maybe, Collins replied. But at least we will die knowing we tried to do the right thing. The vote was called. One by one, the great powers of the galaxy voted to abandon the Kaleri. The Rigelian Consortium voted to let them die. The Altarian Republic voted to let them die. The Centauran Federation voted to let them die. 11 species voted to sacrifice the Kaleri to save themselves from war. Only Earth voted to defend them. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Some aliens cheered, happy that they had avoided a costly war. Others argued that Earth's vote would cause more problems. A few sat in stunned silence, perhaps ashamed of their choice. Ambassador Collins gathered his papers and prepared to leave. Before he walked out, he turned back to the council one last time. "History will remember this day," he said. "It will remember who stood up for the innocent and who turned their backs on them. I hope you can live with your choice." As the human delegation left the chamber, Lisa felt tears on her cheeks. She thought of the Kaleri children she had taught, the families she had lived with, the beautiful songs they sang at sunset. Soon, all of that would be gone, but she also felt something else. Pride. Her species had chosen to stand alone rather than abandon friends in need. Humans would fight impossible odds to protect people they barely knew. That said something important about who they were. Jake put a hand on her shoulder. "We have work to do," he said. "Earth has made its choice. Now we have to make it count." The preparations for war had begun. Across the galaxy, the Vorthak fleet was moving toward the Kaleri homeworld. Earth's small fleet was racing to get there first. The battle for the soul of the galaxy was about to begin, but for now, in the aftermath of the Council's decision, one thing was clear. When all others turned their backs, humans chose to defend the alien race. Whatever happened next, they would face it with their heads held high. Admiral Frank Harrison had not slept in 3 days. His office at Earth Defense Command was filled with maps, reports, and coffee cups. Every screen showed the same terrible numbers. Earth had 187 combat ships. The Vorthak Empire was sending over 2,000? "Sir, we just received the latest intelligence report," said his aide, Captain Tony Blake. "The Vorthak main fleet has left their home system. They will reach the Kaleri world in 18 days. Frank nodded. Grimly, 18 days to prepare for a battle they could not win. But Earth had made its choice, and he would do everything possible to make that choice count. Colonel Sarah Bennett walked into the Admiral's office. She commanded Earth's Special Operations Forces, the best soldiers humanity had ever trained. Her face was calm, but Frank could see the worry in her eyes. "I have been briefing my teams," she said. "We are not just fighting a war. We are showing the galaxy who humans really are. My soldiers understand what is at stake." Frank looked at the battle plans spread across his desk. Every scenario ended the same way. The human fleet would be destroyed and the Kaleri would die. But maybe, just maybe, they could save some of the crystal people before the end. "What do you need from me?" he asked her. "Time," she replied. "My teams need time to reach the Kaleri world and set up evacuation sites. The Kaleri have underground cities made of crystal. If we can get them there, they might survive the bombardment." Meanwhile, across the base, Dr. Lisa Thompson was working with a team of Kaleri scientists who had come to Earth months ago. The crystal beings pulsed with different colors as they communicated, their natural language more like music than words. "We want to help you fight," said the lead Kaleri scientist, whose name translated to Bright Song of Crystal Growth. "Our people are grateful for your sacrifice. We can modify our technology to make weapons." Lisa shook her head. "That would destroy everything you are. Your people have never killed anyone. You grow food, heal the sick, and create beauty. Do not change that for us." The Kaleri scientist's crystal body flickered with colors that Lisa had learned meant confusion. "But how can we help if we cannot fight?" "You can help by being yourselves," Lisa said gently. "Your crystal networks, your healing abilities, your connection to your planet, these are strengths, not weaknesses." In another part of the base, Major Rick Davis was studying star charts with his tactical team. He had fought in dozens of battles, but never against odds like these. His job was to find a way to hurt the Vorthak fleet before they could destroy the human ships. "We cannot match them ship for ship," he said to his officers. "We need to be smarter, faster, and more unpredictable." Lieutenant Commander Nicole Parker, the youngest ship captain in the Earth fleet, had an idea. "What if we do not try to fight them like they expect? What if we use hit-and-run attacks instead of standing battles?" She pointed to the star map. "The Kaleri system has asteroid fields, gas clouds, and radiation zones. We know how to fight in difficult conditions." Most alien races avoid such areas, Rick nodded slowly. We make them come to us on our terms, use the environment as a weapon. Exactly, Nicole said. We cannot win a fair fight, so we make sure the fight is not fair. General Marcus Webb was preparing the ground forces. He was Earth's most experienced combat commander, a man who had fought in the Colony Wars and the Mars Rebellion. His soldiers trusted him completely. Listen carefully, he told his assembled troops. We are not trying to win a normal war. We are buying time and showing the galaxy what humans stand for. Every minute we hold them back is another minute for Kaleri families to reach safety. The soldiers listened in silence. They knew most of them would not come home. But they also knew that sometimes the right thing to do was worth any price. We are not going to the Kaleri world to die, Webb continued. We are going there to live. Up to what it means to be human. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. As the days passed, something amazing happened. Volunteers began arriving from across Earth. Retired military officers came out of their homes to serve again. Civilian pilots offered their ships. Even people with no military training asked to help. Jake Martinez found himself managing a flood of volunteers. His communication center was overwhelmed with calls from people wanting to join the mission. Sir, we have more volunteers than we can use, reported Captain Amy Rodriguez. Pilots, engineers, medics, even teachers who want to help evacuate Kaleri children. Jake smiled for the first time in days. This is what makes us human. When others turn away, we step forward. The plan that emerged was desperate but simple. Earth's fleet would reach the Kaleri world first and set up defensive positions. They would use the planet's natural features to their advantage, fighting from asteroid fields and nebula clouds while the space battle raged. Ground forces would help the Kaleri evacuate to their underground crystal cities. These cities could survive orbital bombardment, but only if the Kaleri had time to reach them. Dr. Thompson made an important discovery while studying Kaleri technology. Their crystal networks are not just for communication, she told Admiral Harrison. They can enhance human reflexes and reaction times. The Kaleri want to share this gift with our warriors. Is it safe? Frank asked. The Kaleri have been testing it on volunteers, Lisa replied. It does not change who we are, but it makes us better at what we do. Faster, more aware, more connected to our ships and weapons, Frank nodded. Every advantage would help in the coming battle. Nicole Parker was chosen to lead the first wave of ships. Her destroyers would engage the Vortex scouts and buy time for the main fleet to position itself. It was the most dangerous assignment, but she volunteered immediately. I have the fastest ships and the best pilots, she told Frank. We will make the Vortex pay for every inch of space. As the departure date approached, the entire human fleet gathered in orbit around Earth, 187 ships, carrying the hopes and dreams of humanity. They were going to fight a battle they could not win for people they barely knew because it was the right thing to do. Admiral Harrison stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking down at the blue and green world below. Earth had given birth to a species that would rather die fighting than live in shame. That was something worth defending. All ships, prepare for jump, he announced. We are going to show the galaxy what humans are made of. The fleet jumped into hyperspace, heading toward a battle that would be remembered forever. Behind them, Earth waited and prayed for their safe return. Ahead of them, the Kaleri world waited for salvation that might never come, but the humans were coming, and that was enough. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kaleri system. Admiral Frank Harrison stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the beautiful blue and green world that hung in space like a jewel. Somewhere on that planet, 3 billion crystal beings waited to learn if they would live or die. Sir, we are detecting Vortex scout ships near the outer planets, reported Lieutenant Commander Nicole Parker from her destroyer. 3 vessels moving toward the Kaleri homeworld. Frank nodded grimly. The enemy was already here. Nicole, take your squadron and engage those scouts. Do not let them report our positions to the main fleet. Understood, sir, Nicole replied. Her voice was calm, but Frank could hear the tension beneath it. This would be the first battle between humans and the Vorthek Empire. Nicole's 3 destroyers moved like sharks through the asteroid field. The Vorthek scouts were larger than her ships, but they were not expecting an attack. The first scout ship exploded in a ball of fire before it could send a distress signal. The second Vorthek vessel tried to run, but Nicole's pilot skills were better. Her ship danced through the asteroids, firing plasma cannons at the enemies. Engines. The scout ship spun out of control and crashed into a large asteroid. The third scout was smarter. It turned to fight, its heavy weapons blazing. Nicole's destroyer shook as enemy fire hit the hull, but the ship's armor held. She waited until the last second, then rolled her ship and fired at point-blank range. The Vorthek scout disappeared in a flash of light. "All scouts destroyed," Nicole reported. "But they had time to send a message before we got the last one," Frank cursed under his breath. "The Vorthek main fleet would know humans were here. They had maybe 6 hours before the real battle began. All ships, take defensive positions around the planet," he ordered. Colonel Bennett began landing operations immediately. On the planet's surface, the Kaleri were already moving. Their crystal cities glowed with soft light as millions of beings walked through streets made of living stone. They moved with purpose but without panic, their natural calm helping them face the coming disaster. Colonel Sarah Bennett's transport ships landed near the capital city. She stepped out onto the crystal ground and immediately felt the planet's strange energy. The Kaleri had told her about this, but experiencing it was different. She felt more aware, more connected to everything around her. A tall crystal being approached her landing zone. Its body pulsed with colors that the translation device turned into words. "Welcome, human warriors. I am called Harmony of Deep Crystal. I speak for the Kaleri people." Sarah bowed slightly. "We are here to help you survive. Our ships will hold off the Vorthek fleet while you evacuate to the underground cities." "We understand," Harmony replied. "Our people are moving to the deep places, but we wish to help you fight. We cannot kill, but we can share our strength." Sarah felt a crystal network reaching out to her mind. Suddenly, she could sense her soldiers across the planet. She knew exactly where each unit was positioned and what they were doing. The sensation was overwhelming but wonderful. "This is incredible," she whispered. "We can coordinate our entire army through your network." "Yes," Harmony said, "our gift to you. We cannot fight, but we can make you better fighters." In space, Admiral Harrison watched as the Vorthek main fleet began to arrive. Ship after ship dropped out of hyperspace, each one larger and more dangerous than anything in the human fleet. The enemy formation stretched across space like a dark cloud. "Sir, we count over 2,000 vessels," reported his sensor officer. "Battleships, cruisers, fighters, and support ships. They have enough firepower to destroy 100 worlds." Frank looked at his own fleet. 187 ships against over 2,000. The smart thing to do would be to run, but humans had not come here to be smart. "Send a message to the Vorthek commander," he ordered. "Tell him the Kaleri people are under Earth's protection. If he wants this planet, he will have to go through us." The reply came quickly. The Vorthek commander's voice was cold and cruel. "Humans, you are insects pretending to be warriors. Surrender now, and we will kill you quickly. Fight us, and we will make you suffer." Frank smiled grimly. "Tell him we choose to fight." The battle began with a massive Vorthek assault. Hundreds of enemy ships charged toward the human defensive line, their weapons firing streams of deadly energy. The space around the Kaleri world lit up like a star as the two fleets clashed. Captain Tony Blake led a squadron of human cruisers against the Vorthek center. His ships were outnumbered 10-1, but they fought with desperate courage. One by one, his vessels were destroyed, but they took enemy ships with them. Nicole Parker's destroyers danced between the larger Vorthek vessels, their speed and agility keeping them alive. She could feel the crystal network helping her, making her reactions faster and her aim more accurate. Her ship's weapons found weak points in enemy armor that should have been impossible to hit. Major Rick Davis commanded a wing of human fighters. His pilots flew like they were possessed, diving through enemy formations and striking at critical systems. The Vorthak had never faced enemies who fought with such reckless bravery. "Sir, we are losing ships fast," reported his communications officer. "The enemy is breaking through our left flank." Frank watched as his carefully planned defense began to crumble. The Vorthak had too many ships, too much firepower, but every minute they held was another minute for the Kaleri to reach safety. "All ships, continue the fight," he ordered. "Make them pay for every inch of space." On the planet below, Colonel Bennett's soldiers felt the crystal network connecting them to the space battle above. They could sense the sacrifice of their comrades, the desperate courage of pilots who knew they were going to die. "The fleet is holding," Bennett reported to her officers, "but they cannot last much longer. We need to speed up the evacuation." General Marcus Webb's ground forces were spread across the planet, helping guide Kaleri families to the underground cities. The crystal beings moved in orderly lines, their children singing soft songs that helped calm everyone's fears. "How much longer until everyone is safe?" Webb asked Harmony of Deep Crystal. "Many hours still," the Kaleri replied. "Our people are not built for haste. We must trust in your warriors above." In space, the battle raged on. Human ships rammed into Vorthak vessels when their weapons failed. Pilots flew damaged fighters into enemy bridges. Crews fought to the last breath, knowing that every second they bought was precious. Admiral Harrison's flagship shook as enemy fire hit the hull. His ship was surrounded, but he refused to retreat. "All weapons target the Vorthak command ship. If we are going to die, we take their leader with us." The human fleet's sacrifice was terrible but magnificent. They fought against impossible odds with courage that amazed even their enemies. The Vorthak had conquered dozens of worlds, but they had never faced defenders like this. As the first day of battle ended, half the human fleet was gone. But the Kaleri evacuation continued, and the crystal network grew stronger. Something was changing in the battle, something the Vorthak had not expected. The humans were not just fighting for the Kaleri. They were fighting for the idea that good people should protect innocent lives. That idea was stronger than any weapon, and it was about to change everything. The real battle was just beginning. The second day of battle dawned with terrible news. Admiral Frank Harrison stood on his damaged bridge, looking at the reports from his surviving ships. 63 human vessels had been destroyed in the first day of fighting. The Vorthak fleet still had over 1,500 ships. "Sir, we are receiving multiple hyperspace signatures," reported Lieutenant Commander Nicole Parker from her battered destroyer. "Unknown vessels approaching from the outer system." Frank felt his heart sink. More Vorthak reinforcements would end the battle quickly. But as the new ships emerged from hyperspace, his sensor officer gasped in surprise. "Sir, those are not Vorthak ships. I am reading Deltari Republic transponders, Tau Ceti collective markings, and dozens of other minor species." Frank could not believe what he was seeing. Ship after ship appeared, bearing the flags of civilizations that the major galactic powers usually ignored. The Proxima Union sent 20 cruisers. The Altair Mining Collective sent their entire defense fleet. Even the peaceful Epsilon Eridani Republic had sent hospital ships to help. Captain Lisa Morgan, commanding the human cruiser Vigilant, opened communications with the arriving vessels. "This is Captain Morgan of the Earth Defense Force. Identify yourselves and state your intentions." "This is Captain Vex of the Deltari Republic," came the reply. "We heard about humanity's stand for the Kaleri people. We volunteer to help defend them." More voices joined in. "This is the Tau Ceti Collective. We stand with Earth. Proxima Union reporting for duty. Altair mining ships ready to fight." Frank felt tears in his eyes. These were not the major powers with their massive fleets. These were the small civilizations, the forgotten species, the ones who knew what it meant to be threatened by larger empires. "Welcome to the fight," he told them. "Every ship is needed." The Vorthak commander, war leader Gax, watched the new arrivals with growing anger. His intelligence reports had said nothing about other species joining the humans. This was supposed to be a simple conquest, not a growing coalition. Order all ships to attack, he commanded. Destroy these insects before more arrive. But the reinforcements kept coming. Throughout the day, small fleets dropped out of hyperspace. None sent their main battle groups, but every ship was crewed by volunteers who believed in what the humans were doing on the planet below. Colonel Sarah Bennett felt the crystal network expanding as more species joined the fight. The Kaleri was somehow connecting with the alien volunteers, sharing their gift of enhanced awareness and coordination. "This is incredible," she told General Marcus Webb. "The network is growing stronger with each new ship that joins us." "The Kaleri are linking all our minds together?" Webb nodded as he watched his soldiers work with perfect coordination. "We are becoming something new. Not just human anymore, but not alien either. Something in between." Dr. Lisa Thompson was studying the phenomenon with her Kaleri scientific partners. "The crystal network is not just enhancing our abilities," she explained to Admiral Harrison over the communication link. "It is teaching us to work together in ways we never imagined." In space, the battle was changing. The human and allied ships began moving with unprecedented coordination. Captain Tony Blake's cruiser squadron executed a perfect flanking maneuver, destroying an entire Vorthek battle group. Nicole Parker's destroyers used the network to anticipate enemy movements and strike at exactly the right moment, but the real change came when the Kaleri made their most important decision. Harmony of Deep Crystal contacted Admiral Harrison directly through the crystal network. The Kaleri Elder's voice resonated in Frank's mind with colors and emotions that human words could not describe. "Our people have chosen to give you our greatest gift," Harmony announced. "We will share our life energy with all who fight for us. You will become part of our song, and we will become part of your courage." Frank felt the change immediately. Energy flowed through his body like liquid light. His mind expanded, connecting not just to his own ship, but to every vessel in the Allied fleet. He could sense the thoughts and emotions of thousands of warriors, all united in their determination to protect the innocent. The effect spread through the entire coalition. Human pilots found themselves able to fly their ships as if the vessels were extensions of their own bodies. Allied captains made tactical decisions with perfect timing. Fighter pilots moved through enemy formations like dancers, their weapons finding targets with impossible accuracy. Lieutenant Commander Parker felt her destroyer respond to her thoughts before she even touched the controls. She dove through a formation of Vorthek cruisers, her ship rolling and spinning in ways that should have been impossible. Her weapons fired at precisely the right moments, crippling enemy vessels with surgical precision. "This is amazing," she reported to the fleet. "I can feel every bolt, every plate of armor on my ship. It is like flying with my own body." Major Rick Davis led his fighter wing in an attack on the Vorthek command ship. His pilots flew in perfect formation, their minds linked through the crystal network. They could anticipate each other's moves, react to threats before they appeared, and coordinate their attacks with incredible precision. The Vorthek fighters trying to intercept them were completely outmatched. The Allied pilots fought with the combined skills of their entire squadron, each one knowing exactly what the others would do. Captain Lisa Morgan's cruiser squadron broke through the Vorthek defensive line like a sword through paper. Her ships moved as one organism, their weapons firing in perfect sequence. The enemy vessels they faced had never encountered coordination like this. War leader Gax watched his carefully planned assault falling apart. The inferior force he had expected to crush easily was fighting with abilities beyond anything he had seen. His ships were being destroyed by enemies who seemed to know his every move before he made it. "What are these creatures?" he demanded of his intelligence officers. "How are they doing this?" But his officers had no answers. They had never encountered anything like the crystal network, never seen different species working together with such perfect unity. The battle raged for hours. But the tide had clearly turned. The Vorthek fleet, which had seemed invincible just hours before, was being pushed back by the growing coalition. More ships arrived throughout the day. Drawn by stories of the brave stand being made at the Kaleri world, Colonel Bennett's ground forces felt the change as well. Her soldiers moved, with supernatural coordination helping guide the last Kaleri families to safety. The Crystal Network allowed them to work together perfectly, each person knowing exactly what needed to be done. General Webb coordinated the final phases of the evacuation. The underground cities are at capacity, he reported. All 3 billion Kaleri are now safe from orbital bombardment. But the real victory was happening in space. The combined fleet of humans and allied species was no longer just defending. They were winning. Admiral Harrison stood on his bridge, feeling the life energy of the Kaleri flowing through him. He could sense every ship in his fleet, every pilot, every gunner. They were no longer fighting as separate species but as one united force. All ships, begin the counterattack, he ordered. Show the Vorthak what happens when good people stand together. The coalition fleet moved forward like a tide of justice. War leader Gax found himself facing an enemy he could not understand, could not predict, and could not defeat. His mighty empire was about to learn that some things were worth fighting. For no matter the cost, the galaxy was watching, and the galaxy was about to see what courage really meant. The final battle lasted 18 hours. War leader Gax had committed everything to one massive assault on the Kaleri planet. His entire reserve fleet, over 800 ships, charged toward the world like a black wave of destruction, but the human-led coalition was ready. Admiral Frank Harrison felt the Crystal Network flowing through every ship, every pilot, every gunner. 3 billion Kaleri voices sang in harmony with the minds of the defenders, creating something the galaxy had never seen before. All ships, this is our moment, Frank announced to the fleet. Today we show the galaxy that courage is stronger than cruelty. Captain Lisa Morgan's heavy cruiser squadron met the Vorthak assault head-on. Her ships moved like a dance, each vessel knowing exactly where the others would be. The enemy formation crashed against them like waves against a cliff. Lieutenant Commander Nicole Parker led her destroyers in a lightning attack on the Vorthak flanks. Her ships appeared and disappeared through the asteroid fields, striking at weak points with perfect timing. The Crystal Network showed her exactly when and where to attack. Major Rick Davis commanded the combined fighter wings from dozens of species. Human pilots flew alongside Deltari warriors, Tau Ceti defenders, and Proxima Union volunteers. They moved as one organism, their minds linked by the Kaleri gift. The Vorthak had never faced anything like this. Their ships were destroyed before they could react. Their formations fell apart as the coalition forces struck with impossible coordination. War leader Gax watched his mighty fleet crumbling around him. How are they doing this? He screamed at his officers. We have the superior numbers, the better weapons. How are these insects defeating us? But his officers had no answers. They were fighting an enemy that thought and moved as one mind while remaining many individuals. It was beyond their understanding. Captain Tony Blake's cruiser broke through the Vorthak center, leading a charge that split the enemy fleet in half. Behind him came ships from a dozen different species, all working together with perfect unity. Colonel Sarah Bennett felt the space battle through the Crystal Network. Her ground forces had completed the evacuation, and now she turned her attention to supporting the fleet. All surface weapons, target the Vorthak command ship, help our friends in space. The planet's surface erupted with defensive fire. Crystal-enhanced weapons shot beams of energy that reached into space, striking at the largest Vorthak vessels. The Kaleri had turned their entire world into a fortress. General Marcus Webb coordinated the final ground operations. The Kaleri are safe, he reported to Admiral Harrison. Every family is in the underground cities. Your fleet can fight without worrying about civilian casualties. The message gave Frank the freedom he needed. All ships, we are no longer just defending. We are ending this threat forever. Pursue and destroy the enemy fleet. Nicole Parker's destroyers led the pursuit. Her ships danced through space, hunting down Vorthak vessels that tried to escape. The Crystal Network allowed her to predict where they would run and cut them off. Target their engines first, she ordered her squadron. Force them to surrender or die. Many Vorthak ships chose to fight to the death. They had built their empire on fear and cruelty, and they could not understand an enemy that fought for love and justice. But more and more began to surrender as they realized the battle was lost. The turning point came when Major Davis led a combined strike on the Vorthak command ship. Fighter wings from 6 different species attacked together, their weapons targeting the bridge with surgical precision. War leader Gax felt his ship shaking apart around him. "All vessels, retreat to the secondary rally point," he ordered. But before his message could reach the fleet, a human torpedo destroyed his communication array. Colonel Bennett's special forces had been planning this moment. Using small ships, they boarded the damaged Vorthak command vessel. The crystal network guided them through the alien corridors with perfect knowledge of where to go. "War leader Gax, you are under arrest for crimes against innocent peoples," Bennett announced as her soldiers surrounded the Vorthak commander. "Your war is over." The capture of their leader broke the remaining Vorthak resistance. Ship after ship surrendered or fled the system. In 3 days of fighting, the mighty empire had lost over 60% of their invasion fleet. Admiral Harrison made a decision that would echo through galactic history. "All ships, pursue the retreating fleet. We are not just defending the Kaleri anymore. We are sending a message to every predator in the galaxy." The pursuit lasted 3 days. The human-led coalition systematically hunted down Vorthak vessels, forcing them to surrender or destroying them. By the end, the empire that had terrorized dozens of worlds was broken and powerless. The aftermath was swift and decisive. The Galactic Council, faced with humanity's unexpected victory, was forced to change everything. The same aliens who had voted to abandon the Kaleri now competed to offer trade agreements and defense pacts, but the real change was deeper. The minor species that had helped defend the Kaleri formed a new alliance. They called it the Coalition of Free Worlds, and they chose Earth as their unofficial leader. Ambassador Peter Collins addressed the reformed Galactic Council. "The old way of doing things is over," he announced. "From now on, the strong will protect the weak, not sacrifice them for convenience." Dr. Lisa Thompson returned to the Kaleri homeworld as Earth's first ambassador to the Crystal Cities. The Kaleri had been forever changed by their contact with humanity. They began developing new technologies that combined their natural gifts with human innovation. "We have learned that peace is worth fighting for," Harmony of Deep Crystal told her. "Your people taught us that sometimes you must stand up to evil, even when the cost is terrible." The planet became a symbol of what was possible when different species worked together. Kaleri crystal technology was shared with their defenders, creating new advances in medicine, communication, and energy production. Admiral Harrison received the highest honors Earth could give. He always said the real heroes were the volunteers who had answered the call. "We did not win because we were stronger," he told the victory ceremony. "We won because we fought for something bigger than ourselves." Captain Morgan established the first joint training academy where humans and allied species learned to fight together. Nicole Parker became the youngest admiral in Earth's history, leading the new Coalition Defense Fleet. General Webb retired to become a teacher, passing on the lessons of the Kaleri campaign to new generations of soldiers. Colonel Bennett established special forces units that combined human tactics with alien abilities. The story of the Battle of Kaleri Prime became legend throughout the galaxy. It was studied in military schools as an example of tactical innovation. Philosophers examined it as proof that moral courage could change the universe. The oppressed saw it as hope that someone would always fight for the innocent. In the crystal cities of Kaleri Prime, the songs of a grateful people echoed through chambers of living light. The humans who had risked everything to defend strangers were remembered not as conquerors or allies, but as family. The galaxy had learned what Earth had always known. Sometimes the right thing to do is worth any price. When all others turned their backs, humans chose to defend the alien race. That choice had changed everything. War leader Gax spent the rest of his life in prison, forced to watch as his former empire crumbled, and the species he had terrorized found protection under human leadership. The Vorthak learned that their age of conquest was over, and in quiet moments, When the crystal songs of Kaleri Prime drifted through space, the galaxy remembered. It remembered who stood up when others turned away. It remembered that courage was contagious, and that sometimes the smallest voice could change the course of history. Humanity had shown the galaxy what it meant to be truly civilized. The lesson would never be forgotten.